always. Thank you. You are always in الملتقى literature salon. Always you are the best writer for us, and always we follow what you write.
Thank you very much.
Always
Is
making us happy.
Dr. Ali is not with us?
I think they are everybody coming, but we are on time, 7:30 always.
Okay. What time is it now? It's 7:30 at Abu Dhabi?
We have 1 minute to 7:30.
Yeah, here it's 5:30. And how is the COVID in your country? Still?
Wallah, we have it around today. I don't know. Yesterday 900 something, and wow. sometime it's 1,000. I don't know. Now we are in the peak.
Well, here we have 14,000.
Oh my gosh!
It's the end of the world.
You should take care about your health. And
I don't go out. I just stay at home and I write. I don't even open the window.
I think for the writer, good time to write, because
yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely, it's the best time. It's the best time. But
we said in Arabic. We said in Arabic يعني مصايب قوم عند قوم فوائده. مرحبا دكتور علي. مرحبا يا دكتور علي. هلا وسهلا.
I don't see him.
He's I see you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
in the phone?
Yes, I see him. How are you, Dr. Ali? I think he doesn't hear us. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, and you, Dr. Ali?
الحمد لله.
مرحبا يا دكتور.
كيف حالك؟
يا مرحبا.
عساك بخير ان شاء الله. منوره فيك الله يكرمك.
يا مرحبا الساعة. مرحبا.
منوره بكم وبضيفنا الكريم سينوي.
ما قصرت الله يطول بعمرك. انت الجسر الثقافي من بينه وبينه. دكتورة فراوكة. هاي دكتورة فراوكة.
Hello, Asma. Hello. I might stay very long. I'm in the car and I can't hear you very well. But anyway, I'm here.
I think Mr. Sinwe will be happy. Frauka, she's with us, Sinwe, today.
Oh my God!
Okay,
one of the the main characters.
My main character, of course, and I hope I didn't write stupid things in the book about her, but she's so famous in the life of Zahid, of course.
Yes.
Next time I come to Abu Dhabi, I have to meet her.
Yes. She's famous in our life also.
Yes, and she wrote a fantastic book about the Emirates. Great book.
How are you, Frauke?
فراوكة هي في الصحراء اليوم.
Yes, we are in the car coming back from the Liva, so I may not stay for all the for all the webinar. But thank you very much for doing this, and I'll be with you in spirit.
Thank you.
I'll turn myself off again because otherwise I can't participate at all. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
We'll start, but we'll wait for another people coming, inshallah.
Okay, I come back, 1 minute.
Okay, we wait.
أظن راح يجيب قهوة سينوي.
لازم.
مرحبا اسماء.
هلا مرحبا يا هيفا. مرحبا. حيا الله بنت العبيدلي. يا مرحبا يا بنت العبيدلي، انت عراسنا
الله يحييك.
اليوم كل الشخصيات المهمة في حوالين الشيخ زايد معانا اليوم.
مساك الله بالخير يا مغانم.
يا مرحبا. يا مرحبا
دكتور خير شيخ الجابري.
يا مرحبا يا شيخة، يا مرحبا يا عمري، يا مرحبا.
الله يسلمك.
أظني ديبرا معانا. لا ديبرا is it are you there؟
مرحبا أخت شيخة.
نتريا بس نوي وإن شاء الله بنبتدي. اسمح لنا دكتور.
لا خذي راحتك معاكم.
ولأن يصلون الناس المعشى مشكلة.
مساكم الله بالخير جميعا.
مرحبا 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 الأخت أشواق. مرحبا مرحبا.
أهلا وسهلا. مشكورة حبيبتي أسماء، يعطيك العافية.
مشكورة ما قصرتي. الله يطول
حبيبتي.
سلمينا على سعادة السفير تركي الدخيل. الله يطول بعمرك.
إن شاء الله حبيبتي، سلام يبلغ. ومشكورة على دعوة دكتور علي. مرحبا دكتور علي، أهلا وسهلا. يا هلا فيك. الحمد لله، الله يحييك. والمؤرخة الجميلة، فرصة نلتقي فيها بعد اليوم. يعطيكم العافية جميعا.
الله يحفظك إن شاء الله.
الله يخليك.
يلا بنبتدي الحين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أهلا وسهلا فيكم. نرحب بالدكتور علي بن تميم. نرحب فيه أول شيء كصديق وناقد وأديب ورئيس قسم اللغة العربية في أبو ظبي. أصدقاء وصديقات الملتقى، ضيوفنا الكرام، مرحبا بكم في لقاء يتجدد بكم ومعكم كل أسبوع. أرحب اليوم بالروائي والكاتب الفرنسي وصديق الملتقى جيلبير سنوي، الذي ناقشنا له في صالون الملتقى الأدبي عدة روايات، منها ابن سينا، طريق إلى أصفهان، مصرية، صمت الآلهة، أنا القدس، اللوح الأزرق، وكثير من الروايات. وكان يتحفنا كل منها بجمالية الرواية ورشاقة اللغة وحبكة السرد. غير أن لقاءنا الليلة مع جيلبير سنوي له طابع خاص وقريب من القلب والروح، فنحن في رحاب شخصية عظيمة وصحبة قائد استثنائي وموحد، فذ لم يؤثر فقط في محيطه المحلي، بل شملت حكمته وحنكته قيادته ورؤيته المستقبلية العالم العربي والإسلامي، وترامت علاقته وإعجاب القادة به ليشمل العالم أجمع. أمسيتنا اليوم في معية الشيخ زايد بن سلطان طيب الله ثراه، ورواية جيلبير سنوي الصقر. الأصدقاء الأعزاء وصديقات الملتقى يقولون أن القائد الحقيقي يمتلك ثقة بنفسه وبشعبه تجعله يقف بوجه المصاعب، ويمتلك شجاعة تجعله يتخذ قرارات هامة في طريق التغيير والبناء، ويمتلك تعاطفاً يصغي به إلى احتياجات الآخرين ويكون أباً لهم. فالقائد لا يأتي بمحض الصدفة، وإنما أعماله العظيمة ومحبته لأبنائه ورؤيته الثاقبة وعزيمته لبناء مستقبل عظيم هي من وضعته بذلك المكان. وكان الشيخ زايد بن سلطان طيب الله ثراه قائداً استثنائياً في ظرف تاريخي حاسم. اعتمد جيلبير سنوي تقنية الفلاش باك ليحكي على لسان الشيخ زايد طيب الله ثراه مسيرة الماضي وإنجازات الحاضر وخطط المستقبل. لنقرأ الرواية التاريخ بعيون غربية. مرحبا فيكم وأهلا وسهلا فيكم. تفضلي الأخت نادية بالتعريف عن الكاتب. تفضلي نادية.
مساء الخير جميعا. مساء الخير. Monsieur Sinoué.
Oui, bonsoir.
Oui.
Allô?
Une petite introduction en arabe sur votre personne. لبناني الأصل، مصري الولادة والمنشأ، فرنسي الجنسية. هذه الهوية المختلطة أثرت في تركيبة شخصياته الروائية، فبدت بمعظمها تميل إلى الانفتاح وتقبل الآخر. درس جيلبير سينوي في مدرسة سانت فاميل اليسوعية في القاهرة، حيث أمضى أوقاتاً طويلة على قارب والده الذي اشتراه عن طريق الملك فاروق، وقابل هناك شخصيات مهمة مثل شارل أزنافور وجاك بريغ وليدا. هاجر مع عائلته إلى بيروت وحصل على شهادة الثانوية العامة قبل أن ينتقل إلى فرنسا وعمره 19 عاماً لدراسة الجيتار الكلاسيكي في المعهد الوطني للموسيقى في باريس، فحصل على شهادة الأستاذية في آلة الجيتار. أصبح محترفاً لهذه الآلة ودرسها، ومع نهاية الستينيات تحت اسم جيلبير كلمتين دخل حقل الوشار الغنائي، فكتب للعديد من المطربين، نذكر منهم 4 أغاني لداليدا باللغة الفرنسية، منها حلوة يا بلدي، أغنية لا سوليتود للمغني كلود فرانسوا، والمغنية شيلا، وغيرهم. بدأ انسحابه التدريجي من حقل الأغنية في منتصف الثمانينات ليتجه إلى كتابة الرواية بشكل جدي. صدرت روايته الأولى المخطوط القرمزي عام 87، حصد العديد من الجوائز نذكر منها جائزة أفضل رواية تاريخية، جائزة جوندور.
نادية رحتي.
I think we have a problem.
نادية she has a problem I think.
كمل. هو أيضا
كملي نادي.
هو أيضا سيناريست وكاتب نصوص تلفزيونية، صدر له ما يزيد عن 30 رواية باللغة الفرنسية، ترجمت معظمها إلى اللغة العربية، كما وصلت غالبية رواياته التاريخية إلى قائمة بست سيلرز. اليوم ضيفنا كاتب روايات بيوغرافية متخيلة عن سيرة نبينا محمد، وعن النبي عيسى عليه السلام وعبد الناصر وابن سينا والليدي إما هاملتون وغاندي وغيرهم. اختار سينوي أن يكون بطل روايته الجديدة شخصية استثنائية فريدة فذة حكيمة، شخصية امتازت ببصيرة دقيقة، بصيرة صقر، الشيخ زايد بن سلطان آل نهيان طيب الله ثراه. ونعم الاختيار، إذ كان وما زال وسيظل الشيخ زايد عزيزاً على قلوبنا جميعاً، والذي تدمع عيناي عند ذكره باسم السيدة أسماء صديق المطوع، مؤسسة ورئيسة صالون الملتقى الأدبي. يسعدني أن أرحب بالأديب جيلبير سينوي، أحد أشهر كتاب الرواية التاريخية في فرنسا. أهلاً وسهلاً بك في صالون الملتقى.
Merci.
تفضل دكتور سينوي، تفضل please. About your book, directly we ask question ولا?
First of all, my dear Asma, I want to say something.
تفضل.
When I met Dr. Ali 2 or 3 years ago, he asked me one question. He said, how come you had the idea of writing a novel about the late Sheikh Zayed? And I told him that I went to Abu Dhabi something like maybe 12 years ago because I was invited by you, Asma, at your club. You remember that?
Yes, we remember.
That was the first time I came to Abu Dhabi. And everybody was mentioning the name, of course, of the great leader, Sheikh Zayed. And I must say, this is when everything started in my mind. It's thanks to my visit 12 years ago. And since that moment, I haven't stopped thinking about writing about Sheikh Zayed, because the more I was reading about him and the more I discovered that this man was really a character for a novel. He was a hero that could be in any great novel. But it's thanks to my first visit to Abu Dhabi and thanks to you 12 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jinwe. We will ask the first question. Normally, is it the writer historian in a novels? He can be a historian, or normally who write the history? It's normally the historian, but the novels is it can be the history, can read the history, or is we can say this novels only.
You know, I always had one idea in my mind. You have lots of historical novels written by scientists, historians, etc. But a large audience doesn't read them. These books are read by teachers, scientists, specialists. And I always had in my mind that the maximum of reader is important to transmit something. So that's why I mix history and fiction. And I think this is a way of having the maximum of people reading you. If you only choose history, well, it's great, but it's difficult. So that's why I mix history and fiction. But I must say that when you write this kind of novel, you have to be extremely strict if you mention the historical part. Yes. I mean, when I write a biography of Gandhi, I have to be extremely strict, and the dates and the meetings and the people who met, who has to be real. So you have to be very severe with yourself, and you have to control yourself and not writing any false information, because the reader believes you. And if you lie, he even believes you. So you have to be very careful when you write this kind of novel. It's not because it's a novel and history that you have to cheat with history. And that's yes. what I've always tried to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. دكتور علي، مرحبا فيك دكتور علي، واهلا وسهلا فيك. نحب طال عمرك يعني تعطينا شوي بعض النقاط الأساسية في سرد الرواية، في بناء الرواية، في أسلوب الرواية لو سمحت.
الله يسلمك، شكر جزيل على هذه الدعوة الكريمة وعلى هذه الندوة اللي أعتقد أنه وهذا اللقاء اللي أعتقد أنه مهم. الصوت واضح ها؟
أي نعم، تفضل طلبك.
والجدير أني أبدأ من حيث انتهى سينوي في إشارته إلى القارئ ينبغي أن يصدق. الواقع إذا رأينا التراكم والإرث الذي خلقه سينوي ربما يعني هو اللي بيشكل لنا العتبة أيضا لقراءة الصقر. هناك أعمال كثيرة وفي معظمها تندرج في السرد التاريخي بمعدل كل سنة كان يكتب عملا، وفي كل سنة كان يبحث عن شخصية هو يجد أنها تمس روحه. وأنا أعتقد واحد من أهم الأعمال اللي يقترب من رواية الصقر هو عمل اللي يتناول فيه غاندي، واللي هي شخصية غاندي. ينبغي ونحن نقرأ الرواية هذه أيضا نتذكر أنه هو مرتبط بالأشعار الغنائية وبعزفه على الموسيقى، وهذا بيشكل أيضا مصدر مهم ونبع عذب في رواية الصقر، لأن يعني بيلجأ بشكل كبير لاستحضار الشعر اللي بياخذ عدة مستويات، سواء كان استحضار للشعر الشيخ زايد رحمه الله في سياق ذكي جدا ودقيق، وهذا يجب أن يشغلنا في بنية رواية الصقر، وسواء في استدعائه أحد أهم الشعراء اللي كان الشيخ زايد رحمه الله يذكرهم بالاسم وهو أبو الطيب، ثم أيضا سوف يستدعي شاعر آخر وهو أحمد شوقي. في كل ذلك كان سينوي يوصف بأنه كاتب استشراقي، وهو تعقيب على ما أشارت له نادين أعتقد في البداية بأن يعني متعدد الهويات، بمعنى أنه كان ينتمي لجهة إلى فرنسا، إلى مصر، إلى لبنان. وفي الواقع يعني هذه الهوية لم تصبغ فقط هوية الإنسانية، وإنما حتى في سياق الهوية الفنية، لأنه هو أيضا بيكون مشتبك في الشعر كهوية، وفي السرد كهوية، وفي حب للموسيقى كهوية فنية أخرى. إذن كل هذه الأمور هي اللي تجعله باستمرار يوصف بأنه كاتب استشراقي. نحن حينما نأتي إلى نص الروائي الصقر أيضا سوف نطرح يعني مثل هذا السؤال: هل نحن في صدد مقاربة استشراقية للشيخ زايد، خاصة ونحن إزاء جملة من المواطن اللي تقود إلى شخصيات في الأغلب منها غير عربية، لكن من خلالها يريد أن يستكشف عالم الراحل الكبير الشيخ زايد. ولعل هذا السؤال قد سئل، يعني لماذا اخترت أغلب الشخصيات غير عربية. هو يقول أنا أريد أن أنظر إلى الشيخ زايد من منظور هويتي اللي أنتمي لها اللي هي فرنسا، أو حتى من منظور الغرب. لا شك حينما نأتي أيضا إلى هذا العمل سوف نطرح يعني واحد من الأسئلة المهمة جدا، ما علاقة الصقر العنوان بهذا العمل. هذه مجموعة من الإضاءات، أنا ما أبغى أستغرق وقت طويل، لأن إذا سمحت لي الأخت أسماء أن أداخل يعني بين الفينة والأخرى بحيث نتيح يعني الأسئلة والحوار يكون يعني متقطع، بيكون أكثر فائدة.
المكان مكانك، الله يسلمك وأنت تأمر علينا. الله يسلمك يا مرحبا. الساعة we open now the discussion. Mr. سنوي. رنا تفضلي. رنا.
مساء الخير. أسمع حقول نقاشي بالعربي ممكن؟
Mr. Sinwe, it's okay in Arabic or in English?
Is it okay? Do you understand Arabic?
Well, I understand Egyptian.
You understand Egyptian. I want to thank you.
I will understand you.
Okay, I want to thank you for taking the challenge. A challenge by writing about such a great character. Sheikh Zayed, whom the whole world gathered for the greatness of his achievement and his love. Yes, I think it was a challenge. And it's a hard one because the character is very contemporary. The character is very close to his people. It was open character. He wasn't sitting in his palace away from his people. He was among the people all the time, and they know all his matters. This is what put you in a more difficult evaluation position. And this is what made the space of the imagined event shrink. I didn't see imagination, lots of imagination. I saw lots of certain names, certain dates, certain places. It was very realistic. I felt it's a novel about real character, real events, not I didn't feel it's a novel, imagined novel. Anyway, I told you it made the space of imagined shrink, and that make some mistake and some changes appear. I felt it wasn't, it was, I don't know how to say it, but...
Say it in Arabic, say it in Arabic. I'll try to understand.
No, it appeared in the text in an unacceptable way, especially to me. I was close to some characters. Like when you said Maryam was expecting a baby. She never expected a baby. And you could change the name just to make it sound imagined. But when you mentioned the real names, and I felt it's unacceptable, frankly. And when you said Sheikh Hazza, he died in America, he died in his house in Abu Dhabi, in Za'farana, such small things, but it made a difference for the reader because the character was very close to the people. And if we refer to the, what do you call it? It's a living references, the people who accompanied Sheikh Zayed and understand all the culture and the tradition. I missed lots of them in the novel. You didn't mention any. And also it reflects on the plot. Why? Like when you said Sheikh Shakhbout, he wished that he didn't give that a great amount of money to King Hussein. It's unacceptable because the real Arabic person with such a great character, he wouldn't do it. he wouldn't do it. It doesn't suit the environment of Sheikh Shakhbout, and it doesn't fit in the society, in the traditions of this society. Sorry, excuse my...
No.
Very frank with you, okay? It limited the perspective which we look from to this great man. I felt that just going to the, especially, sorry, in that period, it wasn't documented. It was documented for certain reason, but not documented to tell what this man did. You can find some papers how they found the oil, or how they found the ruin of some castles, but not to highlight on the character himself is through these documents. Why you didn't go to the, if we can say it, fifth testimony? Why you didn't ask people who are still alive and know him very well?
Okay. Thank you for your question.
Sorry, Gilbert.
And you have to know something, that I prefer critics to compliments, because when people criticize you, it helps you to build something new and to interrogate yourself about your work. But if people make you compliments from dawn to evening, you don't think about what you did. And so I thank you very much. You said, the first thing you said, and you were absolutely right, writing this book was a challenge. It was a huge challenge because I could have done like thousands of biography of Sheikh Zayed. You have them. You can check them, you can go to the library, they have piles of biography of Sheikh Zayed. So my aim was not to write one more biography. What's the use? I just check the other books and that's all. My challenge was to try to put myself, maybe I failed, I don't know if I succeeded, to put myself in the soul of Sheikh Zayed. Because my question was, I was not born in Abu Dhabi, but I know how much you love this great man. I know how I felt it when I was in Abu Dhabi, when I talked to people. And apparently, I'll have to precise something. I spoke to people who met him. I spoke to people who were with him 40 years, among them Zaki Nusebi, who really was with him 24 hours a day almost. So I checked with some people. But anyway, the problem is I wanted to try to transmit to the foreign readers, people who don't know Sheikh Zayed. You have to understand this. I know it's difficult for you as the son of Sheikh Zayed. But in Europe, in France, they know Abu Dhabi, of course, but they never heard of Sheikh Zayed. I'm sorry to say that. Ask to Italian guy, Spanish guy, they never heard of him. So my aim was to try to transmit a soul, not only a man and what he did. That's why I used the first person. I was speaking instead of Sheikh Zayed. And this, of course, was, my challenge was multiplied by 1,000, because how can you imagine what this man was thinking? And I was conscious that, and I was trying to write this book, I was saying to myself, my God, what am I doing? It's madness. So probably you're right. There was not a lot of dream. I don't know. But according to me, the fact that he was speaking is a dream. The fact that I made him speak is totally different from all the books written on him. I could have written facts, only facts, traditions, as you said, avoiding things or adding things. Of course, I could have done that. You are absolutely right. But as soon as you start to speak instead of a person, it's already a step in a dream, because it's unbelievable. I mean, how can you imagine what Sheikh Zayed were thinking? And this is for me what...
Mama, my class.
Are you there?
No, somebody, I don't know who opened there.
So you see what I mean? It's a challenge. I was trying to transmit not even facts and history. For the French people, for the foreign people, I was trying to transmit something with the heart. And for me, this was a part of a dream, because all the people who read the books in France were absolutely astonished. They said, this man existed, or you invented it, or it's a new novel. And they were very surprised to see that. I could have made a book, for universities. So when you try to do something different, of course you make mistakes. Probably there are mistakes, as you mentioned them, probably. Well, you have to try in life. When you don't try, you never know if you fail. So I have tried at least to do this. And I did it with all my heart. I can tell you, for 1 year, I was living with Sheikh Zayed. He was living in my house, and he was living in my heart. And this is the first time in 34 novels that this happened to me. I cannot tell you more. He was in me. So, well, that's the only thing I can tell you. But thank you for your remark. As soon as tomorrow, I'm going to check.
No, we feel this. We feel the writer. You write it from heart to heart. If we feel it that one, maybe from the translators. I think it's from French to Arabic. Some it's not for Arabic readers. It's not come clearly like French. Maybe one of that reason. And maybe also what Rana, she said, Ms. Rana, about the characters, the name, exactly. Maybe it's different name. The people will not click quickly. For us as Unite Arab, as here, we know the wife, we know the cousin, we know everything, we know the friend, and we are still the first generation who live with the great leaders as Sheikh Zayed. That's why maybe that's why it's become common for people. And you can't say Maryam, many, but it's still people, they know this people. That's why it's...
I understand, but the fact is I didn't read the translation, but according to people who read it and who read the French version, among them my friend Karim Jihad, who's a great translator, well, he told me in comparison with the French version, it's an excellent translation. I don't know, but they told me it's an excellent translation. But as you said, you know the people.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
that's the problem. You know the people.
That's why you need to be. You should open your heart for many. That's why they confuse us between. We know the novel is novel. We know the history is history. And we know that 22 years we are in this field. Yani. Only for this great leaders for us, and not great leaders for us. For us, it's our life. Sheikh Zayed, it's our breath. Yani we breathe every day until now for him. And that's why maybe it's a little bit confused for people. But sure, we know it's novels and we know that everything. We give now a question for Reem Al-Kamali. She's one of the Emirati writer. تفضل يا ريم.
مساء الخير جميعا.
مرحبا يا ريم.
السيدة الصديقة أسماء صديق، شكرا لإهدائك لهالكتاب، وسعيدة جدا بمقابلتي اليوم ورؤيتي السيد جيلبرت سينوي الذي أحببته كثيرا من خلال رواياته، وخاصة سيناء ابن سيناء والطريق إلى أصفهان. في الحقيقة أنا قرأت الرواية واللغة المترجمة جميلة، ودائما أقول نحن يعني إزاء الرواية الأدبية وخاصة السيرة الذاتية الروائية، يعني هي من أصعب، يعني هي ليست فكرة إبداعية، لكن استخدام الأدوات لهذه السيرة لهذه الشخصية، شو ما كانت الشخصية، يعني جدا صعب أنك تتخيل زمن لم يعد هو الزمن الذي تعيش، وشخصية لم تراه فقط تقرأ عنه فقط. فأنا برأيي الصقر يعني هو وفق سيد جيلبرت سينوي في كتابة هذه الرواية، ونحن يمكن كعرب معتادين نقرأ ما نريد، نقرأ بالطريقة التي نحن نرى، نريد أن نوافق أنفسنا دائما. هو يخاطب الغرب أيضا، نحن نريد أن الشخصية نعرفها تماما، لكن نريد أن ينقل هذه الشخصية الكريمة إلى الفكر الآخر البعيد. هو الآخر البعيد لا يعرف هذه التفاصيل التي نحن نعرفها، لا يعرف، يعني ويعرف دائما الصحراء، دائما لديه الصحراء والجمل وأشياء بسيطة يعني. وكوننا كرواية ومتخيلة وشخصية واقعية ينقل هذه الفكرة إلى الجانب الآخر، هذا نعتبره إنجاز. وأنا يعني بصراحة استمتعت، وباقي لي الجزء الأخير أني أخلص، لكن مستمتعة جدا بالرواية. وربما يعني هو طعم الرواية بأحداث تاريخية أنا على علم فيها، وكان موفق جدا من الناحية الفنية، هذا المزج بين الخيال والواقع. وسعيدة جدا سيد جيلبرت سينوي بلقائي بك، يعني أنا لا أنسى مثل ما قلت لك كتبك عموما قرأتها، وسعدت جدا بأنك كتبت عن أبانا يعني الشيخ زايد. تحياتي لك.
شكرا، ميرسي. شكرا.
تفضل دكتور علي، إذا عندك أي مداخلة طال عمرك. تفضل دكتور.
لا، أنا أبغى أتحدث عن الوصف. حينما نقول عن عمل سردي أنه رواية، أنا أعتقد يعني إذا قلنا أنها رواية تاريخية، إذا هناك مشتبك يحصل بين التخيل من جهة وبين الواقع من جهة أخرى، بين غير التاريخي أو الغير الواقعي إلى التاريخي من جهة أخرى. إذا توقفت عند هذا الأمر بقول إن من حق الروائي أن يقارب الشخصية مقاربة خيالية، خاصة إذا أطلق عليها رواية. نحن نستعد كقراء أن نحن لسنا في صدد عالم واقعي 100%، نحن في صدد عالم روائي. عالم روائي، الروائي عادة يمزج بين هذا وذاك. إذا توقفنا عند استعمال سينوي إلى المرجعيات تحديدا، في الواقع سنرى بأن هناك معرفة، ومعرفة ما أبغى أقول ممتازة، لكن أبغى أقول أنها جيدة لحركة الحياة في الإمارات والخليج من خلال الاطلاع على محاور الحياة المجتمعية وتحولاتها. أنا وجدت أن شخصية الراحل الكبير الشيخ زايد هي شخصية يعني ارتبطت بالماء في بدايات العمل السردي، ثم في لحظة استرجاع كبيرة انتقل به من هذه الشخصية ذات صبغة إنسانية إلى البعد القيادي والبعد العالمي. نعرف جيدا أن هناك يعني دقة خيالية في ورصد تحولات شخصية الشيخ زايد بن سلطان من خلال الأعين الذي هو اختارها أن ينظر من خلالها. تكشف أيضا مرجعيات الرواية اللي اطلع عليها واللي أرصدها في الأخير بأن فعلا هي مرجعية أو هي مراجع ممتازة، لكننا لا ننسى أن الشيخ زايد وأؤكد صور بأعين غير عربية، وأن معظم هذه الشخصيات بعضها موجود وبعضها غير موجود. هناك شخصيات قليلة جدا كما ذكرنا في الرواية عربية، وهناك أيضا شخصية أخرى وهي شخصية فارس، وشخصية فارس هي شخصية مبتكرة، يعني شخصية ليست واقعية بالكامل، هو لجأ لها ربما حتى يرصد قيم الفروسية اللي يريدها، واللي أصلا الراحل الكبير الشيخ زايد بن سلطان يتغنى بها في أشعاره، ودائما ما يذكرها في خطاباته، أو استخدمها كوسيلة حتى يربط بين الأحداث وبين الشخصيات وبين تحولاتها. إذا نحن نأكد في هذا العالم، في عالم الصقر، نحن من العنوان لسنا، ومن التجنيس نفسه، حينما نقول رواية نحن لسنا في عالم واقعي تاريخي بالكامل، وإنما هناك عامل مهم جدا أو ثنائية مهمة جدا، الخيال من جهة يلعب دور فيها، والتاريخ يلعب دور من جهة أخرى.
صح كلامك دكتور علي، بس هي يمكن اللي صار اللبس عند القراء، نحن كقراء عاديين، يعني ريم الله يحفظها كاتبة وحضرتك ناقد وكاتب، نحن قراء. هو لما بدأ أن أنا الشيخ زايد، يعني الرواية بداها بالشيخ زايد، يعني لما يقول أنا زايد بن سلطان آل نهيان، يعني هو بداها بهالموقف. يعني طبعا أكيد اللي بيقرأ الكاتب الإماراتي بيقراها بهالروح، يعني بعدين يعني لما ينتهي من السرد وينهيها يبداها بالشيخ زايد، you started with الشيخ زايد and close it with الشيخ زايد. يعني هذا تأكيد إنه من أول صفحة وآخر صفحة على أني أنا أتكلم عن great راي. في عندنا مونيكا كراوس. Please, Monica, you have a question, please. Monica, the floor for you.
Thank you, Asma. Good evening, Mr. Sinwe. It's a wonderful to meet you again. I was introduced to your books in Abu Dhabi by my friend Asma, and I'm a big admirer. I read your book in French, and I liked it really a lot. I'm amazed that you had this idea. I know where Rana comes from when she says that maybe it's not perfect when it comes to the historical details. But I think the idea of introducing a unique man like Sheikh Zayed was through a novel, and through writing a novel about him has given you a freedom to speak in a very poetic way, and to show especially people in the West where this country and the history of this country comes from. And I would like to thank you for that. It's a fantastic tool to teach a broad public who has no idea. They know the UAE in the last 10, 15 years, but not the history and the person behind it and how this could happen. And nobody knows, or few people, I live in Berlin now, I used to live in Abu Dhabi, but few people know about Sheikh Zayed. I can confirm this. They know about his sons and what they have continued to develop, but they didn't know his beginnings. So I think this is really an important tool, and it makes it a little bit less important if there are a few things that are not so precise or not 100% correct. I didn't read it that way. I just read it and enjoyed reading it, reading something Oriental and telling this amazing story. And I only have one question to you. Are there any plans to translate that into German?
I don't speak German.
No, you don't have to speak German to translate it, but maybe it's with Gallimard in France, so it could come to, because I know, I've been promoting the
It will be probably translated in German and different language, but it takes time,
Yeah,
in June.
It will be a very important tool for me to be able to continue to promote my book in the UAE, because it's an easy way. It's not a historic way. People are not afraid to read this kind of novel. Historic, if it's a book for universities or scholars, it's more complicated. But something like this opens the doors and opens the doors to a broad public. And I think that's very important. And I thank you for writing this, really, very much.
You're absolutely right. That's what I was trying to say to the lady before. When you write a mixture of novel and history, details of the historical events, I don't say they're not important, but if you dig to these historical events they eat the novel. And finally, you write a historical point. You don't write a novel anymore. So you have to make a choice. The balance is not very easy sometimes. But, I always say, if all my life, maybe it comes from my school and my studies, I always said to my teachers, why don't you explain us difficult things in an easy way? Why do you always explain things in a difficult way? When you read, well, it's maybe not a good example. When you read a fairy tale, well, there is lots of messages to that fairy tale. It's not only a fairy tale, but children, they read it and they love it. And I think most of the readers didn't make Harvard or Oxford or whatever. They're simple readers. They want to have a link with the story. They want to identify themselves with the feelings of the hero, with his sadness, his great moments. And this goes through novel. It doesn't go through historical things. So you're absolutely right. Anyway, as the lady said, it was a challenge. And I was absolutely conscious it was a very difficult challenge.
No, but it's really a fantastic tool to open a new window or a new door towards the history of the UN.
Exactly. Sorry to interrupt you, but you know something, because you live in Abu Dhabi, and it's a great country. It's becoming my second country now. But how can I tell you? When you live too close from something, a house, a man, a wife, children, you don't have enough. I don't know how to say that. To go backward and to analyze the situation with distance, because you are in the world of Abu Dhabi, you are in the heart of the late Sheikh Zayed. So it's very difficult for you to take a distance. When you love someone so much, we say love is blind sometimes. So what I was trying to do was to take a distance, not being born in Abu Dhabi. And I have tried to take a distance. And in my mind, I was trying to say how the foreign readers are going to take this book. Because as I told you, and as you said very correctly, foreign people knows Abu Dhabi through what? Through, sorry to say that, but it's the reality. Beautiful buildings, oil, but they don't know the cultural aspect of Abu Dhabi. And there is a cultural aspect which is extremely important. This was the aim of Sheikh Zayed. Schools, university. They don't know that. So I was really trying to transmit this, especially. When they read the book in France, he did that. This man did that out of the desert. And this was really my aim. It is, well, that's all.
Yeah, so just the last thing that I wanted to thank you for giving me this nice tool, in fact, and to explain better here in Germany who he was and what he did. So thanks a lot.
Inshallah, it will be translated.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica, because you are, we know Gilbert Sinwe when you are in Abu Dhabi, and we read his book, and still we are reading his book, and we're waiting always for what he's writing. And he's one of our, what's called it in our book club. It's always, we search what is translated in Arabic, and always we call Al-Jamal. Everybody, we have a question from Dr. Frauka. You have anything to talk, please?
No question. No, I just want to say that I have not read the novel yet, but I would like to read it in French. That wouldn't be a problem. But obviously, I can see in this conversation that it is a question between writing history or writing a novel. And yet there can be a fusion between the two. And I think that certainly, as Monica says, one can enhance and augment the meaning of the historical personality by giving that personality the dimension of dreams and the dimension of one could interpret into that particular person's mind. And I think that is completely legitimate, and it will, neither type of book will exclude the other. I'm a historian, and I would I hang on to documenting history as well as I can. Nevertheless, if you write history, you cannot ever achieve full truth. That doesn't exist. You always interpret the material you have. Exactly. And leave it to others to read into what you have written. And therefore, full truth doesn't exist. And therefore, why should one not let the in-between area be filled with imagination? That's what I want to tell you. And now we are nearly arriving with my family in Abu Dhabi at our house, and I have to put my mask back on again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you very much, Madame, because, you will read the book in French, I hope so. And I mentioned you in many pages, and I just hope I didn't say stupid things. But I read all your books, and the main one about the region, of course. And it's an honor for me to speak to you tonight. I thank you very much.
شكرا. غادة تفضلي يا أخت غادة. غادة حاتم من مصر تفضلي.
أنت غادة. مساء الخير. Thank you very much, Asma, and thank you for Mr. Gilbert for the novel, for the courage to choose a great leader like Sheikh Zayed in a novel. I think it's a very courageous step from your side. For me, it's a way also to portray. I had been discussing this with Asma, and as many comments had been saying, we like to see things from our own perspective, and we own our history. We have this feeling of owning our history, owning our leaders, and accordingly we see them through our lenses, which is a lens with lots of love and admiration. Now, the way others will see, we don't even, I think, give them the chance to do so. We believe in what we believe, and sometimes we just settle on that belief. So thank you very much. And I think it's a first step towards the internationalization of our great historical figures in this way. What I was aiming also to see, and as we said, it's a novel end of the day, so definitely this is not a trial to a novel, not from a historical point of view. It's as beautiful as it gets, the mix between the historical events and the dream side of it and the imagination. That maybe also from my side, I just felt like I missed an Emirati character next to Sheikh Zayed, another local perspective. But again, great work. Thank you very much for the opportunity to give this part of our history to the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you. You said one word, which is very important. I needed courage.
It is courage, yes, absolutely.
I needed courage, and this is true. Well, you know, when you write a novel, writing a novel is not an easy thing. It's a very complicated thing because you have to make choices. You have to make choices. You have to take it one direction or the other one, and sometimes you cannot take all the directions. So, of course, any subject that you treat, any subject, even a pure novel, not historical novel, there's always something missing. Yeah. Always. People who read it will say, oh, why she's not in love with him, and why she quit him, and why she killed him, and there is always something missing. So, but as I told you, you have to make choices. You cannot fill the book with all the informations.
Thank you.
أنا هكلم حضرتك بالمصري عشان أنا من أرض بلادك.
أهلا وسهلا.
وإحنا معانا غادة من السودان وأمل عفيفي من مصر. فإحنا بنكلمك من بلدك.
الحمد لله.
أهلا وسهلا.
أول مرة بسمع مصري بقالي 50 سنة.
أيوة، عشان كده أو شايفة الكتب كمان في بالعربي فأنا قلت هتكلم بالمصري.
أيوة تمام.
أولاً أنا بشكر حضرتك على الرواية، ودي شجاعة من حضرتك زي ما غادة قالت، وأنا شايفة الشيخ زايد طبعاً يعني رجل عظيم الله يرحمه ويحسن إليه، والشيخ زايد مش بس أثر على العالم العربي بس، أفتكر إن هو كمان كان ليه تأثيرات جامدة جداً على العالم الخارجي كمان، وحتى أولاده ربى جيل مش بس من أولاده الشيوخ، إنما كمان من شعبه، كله شعبه على خلق، أغلبيتهم ده حقيقي عندهم سمات من سمات الشيخ زايد. فحضرتك أرخته مش بس داخليا وعالميا، فأنت تشكر على حاجة زي كده، وكانت رواية رائعة وكل رواياتك جميلة وأنا من أشد المعجبين.
شكرا، ألف شكر. ميرسي.
تفضلي يا أمل.
كاتبة برضه.
أنا بس كنت يعني عجبني قوي الكلام بتاع حضرتك والرواية، وفعلا
كلكم مصريين.
حاجة جميلة إن هو يبقى يعني لما الكتابة أو الخيال بيندمج مع التاريخ بتبقى حاجة جميلة. بس أنا برضو بأيد غادة في الكلمة اللي هي قالتها على موضوع الشخصيات لما بتحيط بالمين كاركتر. يعني حضرتك ممكن تركز فعلا على زاوية زي ما حضرتك بتقول في الكتابة، بس برضو يظهر شخوص آخرين، يعني يبين إن هما في حواليه ناس تانيين مش بس المجموعة الصغيرة اللي حضرتك ركزت عليها، حتى لو كانت شخصيات ثانوية مش مهمة أو مش بدور رئيس، ما بتقومش بدور رئيسي. بس ده هو التعليق. شكرا جدا حضرتك قابلتنا وشفتنا، وشكرا أستاذة أسماء.
شكرا
أسماء.
عفوا، يا مرحبا يا مرحبا. حيا الله أهل أم الدنيا، يعني نحن دائما مصر نعشقها ومشكورين على مداخلتكم. الله يسلمك. تفضلي دكتورة جميلة. تفضلي دكتورة جميلة.
مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
مساء الخير.
جميلة الصوت. جميلة.
جميل أن تتقبل. نعم، قلت لك جميل أن ترى الآخر كيف يراك، وجميل أن تتقمص روح نحبها جميعا. واضح الحين الصوت؟
أي نعم، تفضل.
أنا حتى أكون موضوعية معك ولا يكون الطرح أننا نقرأ ما نريد، وضعت طاقية ديبونو اللي لونها أبيض وهي طاقية الحيادية objectivity حتى أكون موضوعية معك، وقرأت الرواية وكأنني من فرنسا وليست من الإمارات، فأنا حتى أكون منصفة وأقدر هذا الجهد الكبير قرأتها بزاوية، وذهبت من دائرة إني أقرأها كإماراتية حتى ما يقولوا لي لا أنت يعني تقرأين تريدين أن تقرأي ما تتوقعي، ذهبت إلى كأنني أقرأها وأنا فرنسية. لكن أقول لك إنه توثيق الإرث الحضاري والقيمي والإنساني لسمو الوالد الشيخ زايد بن سلطان النهيان طيب الله ثراه مسؤولية كبرى على المستوى الرسمي والشخصي والأدبي، يعني هذه مسؤولية حقيقية. هذه المسؤولية تقع على أبعاد وعناصر البوح الأدبي والخيالي في مقابل الواقع الحقيقي لتجربة أصيلة ذات تفرد وذكاء قيادي وعظمة نادرة في مجال منظومة القيادة بالقيم. جميل جدا ومقدر أن ينشر هذا الكم الرائع عن سمو الوالد الشيخ زايد. وأنا كثير حبيت العلاقة اللي بينه وبين الشيخة فاطمة، لأنه إحنا نعيش هذا الشيء ونعرف السبورت أو الدعم اللي بينهم الكبير. فاستمتعت بهذا الجزء. لكن بكل أمانة أجد أنه العمل بالنسبة لأنه يتناول محراب عظمة الوالد الشيخ زايد طيب الله ثراه يعني كان محدود من ناحية أنه إطلاق العنان للخيال. كثير كان في جوانب لم تتطرق لها، يمكن في
Sorry, the sound is cutting.
نداء من روحي يعني يقول لك it's not like that. نعم، يعني مثلا مفهوم زي المضحك صفحة 83 ذكرت إنه الشيخ زايد كان يتكلم على زي في بريطانيا إنه زي مضحك. هذه الجملة أنا أعتبر فيها مسؤولية على إنه إحنا ننظر إلى زي الآخر إنه مضحك. في نفس الوقت أنت تتكلم عن تسامح الشيخ زايد وعن الاختلاف وإنه كيف هو احتوى الخلاف واحتوى الأديان واحتوى الجنسيات الأخرى، فهو لن يضحك أبداً على زي آخر مهما كان. أنا أعرفه، هو والدنا، هو ربانا. فهذه الجملة صفحة 83 لا ترقى إلى مستوى قيم وسمو الوالد الشيخ زايد. مفهوم التسامح والخارج عن القانون صفحة 28 هذه القيمة هي يعني قيمة عالية عند الشيخ زايد، وإحنا عشناها وعرفناها إنه هو يحاول يكسب الطرفين، لكن إذا لم تشرحها بشكل وافي ممكن تكون إنها توصل بشكل ناقص. بالنسبة لنشيبة الصفحة 146 اللي هو الدكتور زكي نسيبة، ليش شديد الحياء إنه هو يذكر اسمه؟ يعني هذا هو إنسان وصل إلى العالم في مجال الترجمة، فليش دكتور زكي نسيبة؟ إحنا عرفناه إنه دكتور زكي نسيبة إنه هو في صفحة 146. صفحة 100 عندما تخرج صاحب السمو الشيخ خليفة بن زايد والشيخ سلطان الله يرحمه الشيخ محمد بن زايد من سانت هيرست، صفحة 100 ذكرت جملة قلت هذا النقص الذي يعني كان بسبب انه تخرج عياله، انه الشيخ زايد يحس بنقص. الشيخ زايد ما كان يحس بنقص. عارف ليش؟ لانه كان عنده علم لدني. عارف شو علم لدني؟ نظريات الشيخ زايد في القيادة تدرس الآن في أكبر وأقوى جامعات العالم، وهي جامعة هارفارد يونيفرسيتي. عاشها بالفطرة وبالذكاء القيادي وبالعلم اللدني. في يوم من الأيام أنا كنت متدربة في جامعة هارفارد يونيفرسيتي، ذكرونا من أهم نظريات القيادة أن تقوي جارك، لأن لو قويت الجار أنت ستكون قوي. قلت لهم هذه نظرية قيادية من هارفارد يونيفرسيتي. قالوا لي نعم. قلت لهم إحنا الوالد الشيخ زايد طبقها وآمن بها، وكان يقول على أساس أنا أعيش بأمان لازم الجار عندي يكون قوي. فأنا أحس إنه الكلمة ما كانت في مكانها، إنه صفحة 100 يقول إنه هذا الشيء إنه تخريج أبناء ودفعه يعني إلى إنه يحس بالنقص. يعني هذه الكلمة شوي جرحتني صراحة أنا، فكنت أنادي فيها. لذلك إن يمكن إذا في طبعة أخرى تراجع هذا الشيء، ويمكن من هذا المنبر أنا أنادي مهما كان العمل الأدبي أو العمل التوثيقي أو التاريخي يتناول شخصية قامة وعظيمة مثل الوالد الشيخ زايد، يجب أن يكون هناك من يراجع ويعتمد هذه المعلومات، لأنها هي ممكن تؤثر. إنه هو كان عنده هذا الإحساس وهو في الحقيقة لم يكن موجود. يعني لذلك الأمانة في نقل الإحساس الحقيقي مهم جدا بالنسبة لنا، وأشكرك واستمتعت بالرواية.
I would like to answer, but I didn't understand everything. I'm sorry. I know I understood that you mentioned some pages where I probably made mistakes. I don't know. The only thing I can tell you about Zaki Nusebi, who is a great friend, he is the one who asked me not to mention his name. He begged me not to mention his name. So I had to find another name. But considering the critics you made about England, I didn't understand very well. Can you tell me exactly what I said concerning the English?
I think Mr. Gilbert translator is not in Arabic something. It's that I told you. This is what I feel. يعني أنا
No, you should know it. Yeah, you should know it.
Can you tell me?
جميلة عندك
الرسالة. It's about.
جميلة
الرسالة. Okay, it's about. Yeah. Okay. الحين كيف? How is it now?
الحين okay.
Yeah, okay. In page 83 said that looking at that funny uniform that knights are wearing, the uniform with the guard wearing uniform when he went to England. It was funny. He said, it's funny uniform. For that, he was imagining. Yes.
Yeah, because I think that I thought about myself when the first time I went to England and I saw the horse guard with the big hat, you know, I was quite surprised about seeing these guys. So I could imagine. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's their culture.
It's what?
It's for you. If you want to mention it for you as yourself, okay. But Sheikh Zayed will never look at it as something funny at all. I know him. I knew him. He's in our.
Well, I made a mistake probably. I should have talked to you before.
Thank you. Thank you. It's okay. Also, you mentioned. Yeah.
سعاد تفضلي. سعاد البناعي تفضلي.
مساء الخير أخواتي العزيزات. أنا أعتقد الكاتب جيلبرت توفق في نقل كمستشرق عائش في أماكن شرقية، نجح في نقل روح المكان اللي ترعرع فيه الشيخ زايد واللي ظهرت فيه نبوغته وقيادته. فأتصور هذا شيء يعني ما كنا راح نحصل أحسن من جيلبرت عشان يكتب عن الصحراء، لأن أيضاً كونه خلفية شاعرية قدر ينقل لنا الكتاب بلغة وطريقة سرد شاعرية جدا رائعة وسهلة وسلسة وبسيطة، بالضبط جسدت حتى روح الشيخ زايد، لأنه هو إنسان بسيط متعلق بالأرض وبالصحراء، والصحراء هي ملهمة الشعراء. فأيضا يعني
يا نعيمة نعيمة يا نعيمة نعيمة يا نعيمة نعيمة يا نعيمة.
عفوا
سبحناها وخلصناها سبحنا.
عفوا
شو براهي خليها تكون نظيفة إذا يهنوا.
عفوا أسماء هلو
تفضلي. ظاهر حد فاتح السماعة، لو سمحتوا يا جماعة دائما خلوا الميكروفونات مسكرة لو سمحتوا. تفضلي يا سعاد تفضلي اختي.
نعم هذه وحدة. فأنا بالعكس أثني على الأستاذ جيلبرت في روايته، لأنه قدر ينقل من وجهة نظر مستشرق شخصية الشيخ زايد إلى الغرب. هذه كلش ضرورية، لأنه الغرب يشوف من عندنا إحنا العرب يمكن مباني، يشوف نهضة حضارية، بس ما يدري منه الخلفية في اللي كانت وراها، القيادة، النظرة، الرؤية اللي وصلت بلد مثل الإمارات في فترة وجيزة إلا أنها تكون بمصاف دول عظيمة، ويكون لها شأن أيضا مو بس بالقرار الداخلي ولكن أيضا على مستوى القرار العالمي. هذه وحدة. فضروري يعني هذا الكتاب جدا قيم وإجا في وقته، ونتمنى أنه تطلع كتب أخرى. أيضا جيلبرت كثير وفق في أنه يقرب شخصية المرحوم الشيخ زايد من وجهة نظر إنسانية بسيطة، بحيث اللي يعني أي شخص يقرأ الكتاب يقدر يتعاطف مباشرة ويفهم هذا الإنسان البسيط الطالع من الصحراء، شنو همومه، شنو معاناته، شو المصاعب اللي مر فيها. فكان جدا رائع في نقل هذا الشيء، يومياته، حتى مواقف الصعبة اللي مر فيها، أن تكون قائد في ضمن نظام قبلي ليس من السهل أنك تأخذ قرار، لأن فيها استشارة، فيها مجلس قبلي، فيها أتباع، فيها أيضا ممكن أن تقوم عليه قبيلة إذا ما كنت حازم، وإذا ما كنت أيضا فصيح، وإذا ما كنت حكيم. هذه وحدة. الجميل أيضا في الكتاب أن أبرز كثير من المواقف الصعبة اللي مر فيها الشيخ زايد. أنا بالنسبة لي لما قريت الكتاب فعلا هو رواية تاريخية. أغلب اللي لاحظته في أغلب سير العظماء أو في روايات العظماء دائما تبتدي الرواية من لحظة تاريخية قوية، من موقف وضع فيه هذا القائد وجسد في هذه اللحظة حكمته. فأتصور اللحظة اللي كان لازم يبتدي فيها، يعني هاي بس من وجهة نظري ولا ينقص الكتاب، أنا كنت أتمنى من الأستاذ جيلبرت إن لو ابتدأ الكتاب مالته من موقف صعب مر على الشيخ زايد في حياته، وهو كان موقف تنحيه عن الحكم سنة 67 بعد انتهاء 5 سنوات من حكمه بعد قيام الاتحاد. إذا تتذكرون كان موقف جدا صعب، مو بس على الشيخ زايد إنه يتخذه، ولكن أيضا على الآخرين إنه يسمعوه، يعني يتقبلون تبعاته ويتفاعلون معه وأيضا يردون عليه. كان موقف جدا حازم، لأنه أعتقد هذاك الوقت إذا لم يتم اختيار الشيخ زايد كان ممكن المنحى التاريخي للإمارات كلها يأخذ منحى آخر. دائما في سير العظماء لما إذا نريد نروي عنهم نروي في لحظة معينة كيف امتحن حكمته، صبره، قدرته، بصيرته، رؤيته في ذاك الموقف. وبالتالي كان لو بدأ من ذاك الموقف اللي هو موقف تنحي عن الحكم بعد قرار التنحي بعد 5 سنوات لأمر يتعلق بقبول المجلس الدستور، كان ممكن من هذاك الوقت يعني ننظر لشخصية الشيخ زايد ونبدي نعرف من هو كان سابقا الشيخ زايد إلى وقتنا الحاضر، فيبدي يعطي مثل ما تقول فلاش باك، وأيضا نتقدم على المستقبل. هذه النقطة. النقطة الثانية هي أيضا إحنا قرينا أعتقد كتب قبل فترة تقول أن العظماء يؤرخون لحكمهم بالعمائر، والعمائر هذه مو شرط تكون بس بالبنيان، ولكن بقيمة هذا البنيان وما يخدم المجتمع. والشيخ زايد من ضمن العمران، طبعا في نهاية الكتاب ذكر مسجد الشيخ زايد، لكن أكو شيء لفت نظري من 25 سنة هو المجمع الثقافي، وجود المجمع الثقافي في أبو ظبي.
سعاد ذكر المجمع الثقافي في الرواية مذكورة
أعتقد والله كتركيز
مذكورة في الرواية.
أوكي، يعني أنه القائد اهتم كثير بالمجال الثقافي والناحية الفكرية، أنه يعكسها أيضا من ضمن التطور الحضاري اللي قامت في أبو ظبي. وأنا أشكره جدا على هذه الرواية، لكن أحب أعرف ليش اختار الصقر ما اختار عنوان آخر. أنا عارفة الصقر يمتاز بالبصيرة وهو رمز للصحراء، فقط أرغب في أنه هل مر بعناوين أخرى وبعدين قرر على الصقر، أم هذا كان من البداية هو في أمام نظره. وشكرا أسماء، وشكرا أستاذ جيلبرت.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
Why
I
the
didn't
name?
understand, but I
the
understood
name
the last question. Why I choose the title, the Falcon. That was the only question I understood. Well, because for me the Falcon was a symbol of Abu Dhabi, because I know that Sheikh Zayed was passionate with chasing with the Falcon. I know how much he loved it, and for me it was just a symbol. I didn't try to find something else. That's the first title that came in my mind.
دكتور علي، عندك أي ملاحظة على الاسم؟ أو
العنوان. شكرا لك وشكرا للطرح المهم في هذا العالم الروائي الواسع والذي لا يمكن اختزاله في هذه الصفحات القليلة، لكن العنوان في الواقع يعني يشكل العتبة الأخطر من العتبات النصية، ويهب العمل الأدبي كينونته، يهبه وجوده. ولا شك أن القارئ أول ما يتوقف على العنوان، فإما أن يشكل له، يلوح له بأن يرحل في داخل النص أو يترك النص، أما أن يجعل هذا النص قابل للتداول وقابل للحياة. العنوان هو مفتاح لفك ألغاز النص وأسراره. وسينويه في وجهة نظري جمع بين بعدين، بعد إماراتي وبعد أيضا يعزى إلى مصر وتراثه، وهو قال ذلك من قبل. وهو في وجهة نظري عنوان دال، وهو يعني عنوان يتكون من كلمة واحدة، الصقر، وهو ليس جملة يعني يعطي حركة، سواء كان جملة فعلية أو جملة اسمية أو اسم ونعت، وإنما كلمة واحدة، الصقر. واللي يتوقف عن تاريخ الشيخ زايد يعرف مقدار عشقه للصقور وحرصه عليها واهتمامه بها. حتى في بعض الروايات تشير أنه كان يفضل الصيد بالصقور ويرفض الصيد بالبندقية حماية للبيئة. وهناك قصائد كثيرة أيضا، ولذلك أعتقد أن أحسن اختيار العنوان. هناك قصائد عند الشيخ زايد يعني تعزو إلى الصقر، فيقول الشيخ زايد في قصيدته الشهيرة يطير ضبطك بتدريب، ويقول في قصيدة أخرى الصقور المخلصين. وهذه يعني تكشف عن علاقة أو حضور هذا العنوان في النص واقعي ورمزي في الوقت نفسه. نجد أن الصقر يبدأ في البداية وفي النهاية، وأيضا يتكرر في الوسط. بالنسبة حضور لفظ الصقر في التاريخ العربي أيضا حضور كبير جدا، فنجد صقر قريش، أشخاص سموا بالصقور، ولقب الملك عبد العزيز أيضا بالصقر. والعنوان يماهي في الواقع بين الشيخ زايد وبين الصقر. أظن أن أيضا لو نظرنا إلى بنية العمل بنجد بأن هناك رؤية، خلني أسميها رؤية الصقر، بمعنى أن هناك رؤية التفاصيل ورؤية الأجزاء البسيطة ورؤية الارتحال. فنجد أن الشخصية تتنقل من مكان إلى آخر. يعني نجد مثل ما يطلق يعني بعض الناس على عين الصقر أنه يرى نظرة بانورامية، نظرة واسعة، يرى التفاصيل ثم يرى الجزء أيضا، وهو ما يعزى لعين الصقر. وأظن أن لذلك يمكن أن ننظر إلى مستوى حضور الصقر، سواء كان مستوى سيميائي رمزي، ومستوى آخر مستوى حقيقي، ومستوى أيضا يعزى للثقافة الفرعونية وحضور الصقر فيها اللي هو أصلا متأثر فيها سينويه. وفي الوقت نفسه مستوى يعني آخر اللي هو المحرك لعملية السرد والروي اللي هي أصلا متصلة بالبطل بالشخصية الرئيسية المتنقلة والتي ترى من عدة اتجاهات.
Can I say something?
Yes, please. Please.
I want just to say that, you know, when you try this kind of challenge, the only thing I could say is, as I said, is trying is already, it's already a challenge in life. Whatever you do, if you try to do something that nobody has tried before, it's normal that there are weaknesses that you find in the weakness, or that you find critics, because it's the first try. When I write my novels, usually, I don't, well, I hope the balance between reality and fiction is okay. But this challenge is the first time. So probably, as always, when you try something for the first time, there are weaknesses here or there. But I must say I'm very proud to have tried, very, even if there are mistakes or absence of details of whatever. I'm still very proud of having tried this. And I'm going to tell you something that will surprise you. This book for me is probably the most important book I have written among the 34, because I loved the character. I really loved the character, and I didn't think very much about being absolutely precise on the people he met or the people who surround him. For me, it's him who was the most important character. And well, that's the only thing I can say for my defense. But my lawyer is not here for the moment. So I try to explain myself as much as I can.
We are your lawyer. We are your lawyer. Don't worry.
But I appreciate very much the critics, especially of Mrs. Jamila, I think her name.
Jamila.
Yeah, because it's good. It's very good. You know, I always appreciate critics, because this is how I build my novels, my career, and I won't say it pleased me, and I'm very happy about critics, but I appreciate them, because when we're going to leave each other, I'm going to think about them, and I never read myself. I must tell you, when a book is finished, for me, it's an object. It's just like an ashtray or a bottle. I look at it like a foreign character. I never read my books, never. Because if I read my books, well, I will never write again. So, but I will think about everything you said. It's very nice. It's a good point of view.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Cynthia, you have something to say? Please, Cynthia from Miami. I think the time between us and Miami.
Yes, I hope my connection is okay. This was very interesting, because as a foreigner, I lived in many countries. I lived in Europe and in the United States, and I lived 20 years in the UAE. And coming into the UAE, it's true what he says. As a foreigner, everything is very surprising, because the culture is very different. What my question is, Sheikh Zayed is a unique character, not only because of his personality, but as a leader. If you look at all the leaders around the world for the last centuries, there has not been one leader that has been able to develop the resources of their country and protect their people at the same time. If you look around the world, there's always conflict when there's resources. There's always foreigners coming in. There's always different aspects that destroy the local culture. And he was able to develop not only his country, but protect his people and flourish. And this has never been seen in these centuries, if you compare all the countries, because the powerful countries always impose their views, their culture. But one beautiful thing that I see is the idea of conserving. Now, in order for someone to be able to do that as a leader, you must have a very complex character. It's not one-sided character. You must not only love your country to the point that you would do anything for that country or anything for your own people. You have to have a very strong root, yeah? And I think this comes from the local culture. And I understand why there's the feeling like, no, this is not Sheikh Zayed. You represented only pieces of him. But I also understand your point of view. You, as an outsider, you did your best. But like the desert, it's very complex, very complex. I want to know, my question for you is, how were you?
Cynthia close. Cynthia, I think your voice gone.
Okay, I'm here.
Cynthia?
Yeah, what was your question?
Cynthia, open the mute. You are in mute.
Your mic is...
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
question
yes.
for you.
Yeah.
My question for you is, how were you able to go deeply into the character of Sheikh Zayed without taking into consideration the aspects of him as a leader, him as a leader of a country that was developing and that has never been seen in other countries in the world? You're surrounded by countries that have years of development of not only education and resources. So how were you able to go deep into that character? Because the character must be very strong mentally and emotionally to be able to handle such a thing.
Well, first of all, you said something absolutely right. I think I know quite well the Middle East. I was born there. I was raised there until the age of 19. And I study a lot of this region because it's a very complex region and very interesting region because of its complexity and because of the complexity of each country, and each country has its own character. You know, when you live in Europe, they say the Arabs, and I tell them there are no Arabs, there are different Arabs. You don't say, there is a big difference between a Swedish guy and an Italian guy. There's a huge difference between a Spanish guy and a Norwegian guy. So Arab are very complex, as complex as European people are complex. And if you read the history of this country, there are no great leaders. You don't find one great leaders. They're all dictators. All they have ruined their people, or they exploit their people. And when they die, they leave a country in ashes. So we can say objectively that he is the only one in the Arab country. The only one. Absolutely no discussion about it. Now, you ask me how I've tried to enter into the mind of Sheikh Zayed. I was obsessed by one thing that probably makes the difference between you people who live in Abu Dhabi and you know the culture, you know Sheikh Zayed much better than I do probably. But I was obsessed by one only thing. For me, Sheikh Zayed was first of all a man. The greatest leader on earth, Gandhi, whatever it is, they were first men. They were not kind of superman with no heart, with no feeling, with no... I don't know who told me that I said it was funny when he went to London and he saw I think it's you. Well, of course you are right, because you know him so well that in your culture, in your spirit, he couldn't say that. It's impossible. But the problem I had is I wanted to see him as a man capable, in my mind, of saying that. You know, in the book, at a certain moment, I don't remember where and what pages, I make him say this. I make him say, don't admire me. Don't make of me an idol. I'm a man and I made probably mistakes. I'm just a man. And for me, this was the message I was trying to transmit. Sheikh Zayed was the greatest leader of all time in the Middle East, but he was also a man. So maybe the mistake I made was trying to be too close from the man and not enough from the leader, probably.
Thank you. Sorry, we take your time. We have a few questions, okay?
With pleasure.
Okay. فاطمة الهديدي تفضلي الأخت فاطمة. فاطمة. I don't know. في سؤال من عند سعدية الجابر، تفضلي سعدية.
مساء الخير جميعا. مساء الخير أستاذ جيلبرت. Good evening. I don't have a question really. And I'm sorry if I'm going to be a little bit negative, but bear with me because you're talking about a great man. Maybe it's not for you, but for us who live in Abu Dhabi or live in UAE. First of all, I read so many of your novels, but this is in this novel, I didn't hear Sheikh Zayed's voice and I didn't hear Gilbert Sinue's voice. And I'm really surprised. I was expecting something heavier or much more complicated to this great character. And thank you very much. And please excuse me, excuse my honesty.
No, it's very good. But, you know, I understand what you mean. It was very difficult to hear my voice because the voice of Zayed in my mind was so important that I was incapable of expressing myself. But maybe I missed the voice of Zayed. You're right. As I told you, you know, you have to understand that when you write a novel, it's like making a nice table or a nice whatever it is, and you cannot succeed in being perfect all the time. You can succeed sometimes you miss, and well, according to you, I missed the voice of Shazad. Probably, I don't know. I think I just try to do my best, and well, maybe according to you, I failed. But this is the work of a novelist. He tries, he succeeds, he misses. Well, you can't win all the time.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry for that.
No, I appreciate. It's very interesting because, you know, what is very interesting is, according to me, I was 100% the voice of Shazad. So it's very surprising when you say you didn't hear Shazad, and you see how much difference there is between a reader who read the books you worked on for 1.5 years and your own impression. It's very surprising. You think you were Sheikh Zayed for 1.5 years, and suddenly somebody tells you, no, I didn't hear the voice of Sheikh Zayed. So it's very, well, I appreciate it anyway.
في سؤال من الأخت سلوى، تفضلي سلوى. بس الله يخليكم على التطويل. Please nobody long short question لو سمحتوا. سلوى الصوت ميوت، انت يعني ميوت. سلوى ما ينسمع الصوت. سلوى انت على ميوت، ما ينسمع.
Yes, sorry. I had a question for you, not for Nof. Has your cultural orientation been affected by your being raised in Egypt till the age of 19? And if so, please explain in what ways.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. What did you say exactly?
Had your cultural orientation been affected by your being raised in Egypt?
Yes, of
till
course.
the age of 19.
Of course, it is. And it is still not.
And how?
Because when you live, when you live in a country in an Arab world, whatever is your background, we were speaking French at home. My mother was French, my father was Egyptian, but I was raised in both culture, and whatever I wanted or not, I'm completely. I am totally. I always say, when people ask me this question, my heart is Arab and my brain became French. So I really live between these two cultures, but the heart, the Arab heart, is still the same one. And even when I write, that's why I wrote so many books about Egypt and this region. It's because I am affected by the fact that I was born in Egypt. And I cannot distance myself from this period. It is still in my mind. I think my feelings, the way I behave is Arab. When I receive people at home, I receive them as an Arab, not as a French guy. When I care for people, is like an Arab guy. But of course, I have also my brain organized in a French way.
Thank you. There is a question for Maria Fornica. Please, Maria.
Hi, Asma. How are you? Bonjour, Gérard. Félicitations pour avoir donné à ces personnages un caractère de universel. I was saying that congratulations because you gave to this character an universal dimension, and this is what is very important to consider. If you allow me, Asma, please just be patient. I was inspired with this comment. I would like to put on the table some words as legend, universality, perception, cultural signature of the interpreter, interaction of the person or situation in question in different circles. A legend is a person that makes us dream, passing the message in the history in a novel context, the message of the history in a novel context. It is not necessarily to transcribe the history as others know, or as it is really writing in traditional and sacred books. There is a march of freedom, what is something that motivates really the creator, either of a book or a piece of art, and make what we are reading or what we are seeing possible. So the weakness that Gerard considered can be a strength as well, because the things that surprise and can be considered as new somehow are those that come from another perception, an inner perception, and take it to other generations. Personalities of that dimension, as Sheikh Zayed, that enlighten others at that point, open channels of communication that are not perceived or understood for classical standards, and show insights that can be just well seen and translated from some others, those that discover things of the same character in a different way. Not everything is said about someone, or even the history say everything, cannot say everything of something. Sometimes if we look inside, we can show few things to certain people, or from certain people and from certain contexts that are not exactly say to our families or close people, as Gerard said. And I finish here. Personages of that dimensionality, the highest as a leader, are not to be read just in one level, but many. He was already an universal man. That means of at that time, that means of multiple interpretations, and one of his and these leaders' privileges. So it's not time to judge, I believe, the subtlety of an oniric dimension that orientate the character. Finally, the power, Maria, he has the power, yeah, I finish, yeah. He has the power of making dreams for others. And we have to consider that for the French culture that these beautiful writers come from, the malleability of the words in a good sense of the terms and the expressions, the different lectures is what make this incredible dimension of French literature, the freedom of go after the facts in any gender of literature. So thank you. I didn't yet have the pleasure to do it, but everything that I have been hearing is that we cannot perceive in the same way that others in different times. So you brought Shiksaye to our times, to different times, and thank you for that.
Well, I will try to answer to you in a very short way. You're absolutely right about the perception that one can have of another one. There is a very famous book written by an Irish writer called Lawrence Durrell. Lawrence Durrell wrote 4 volumes called The Quatuor of Alexandria. And it is exactly what you said. It's the story of 4 characters who tells each one the same story, a love story about a woman, and each one of them sees the story in his point of view. And it's completely different from the other one. One is saying it was a beautiful love story and it was perfect and they were really in love and it was great. And the other one tells the same story, criticizing this love story and saying, no, you're wrong. They didn't love each other really. There were other problems between them. So you're absolutely right. And you cannot write a book about any character famous, whatever it is, without having a different point of view than the other one. When you read a biography of Churchill, for instance, there are thousands of biographies of Churchill. Not one is describing Churchill like the English guy imagined he was. And about Gandhi is the same thing. About Nasser is the same thing. About Muhammad Ali is the same thing. It's very difficult to make a universal approval of your story. It's very difficult because each one, even when you read a book, a novel, and you finish the novel and you talk about it with some friends, they will give you another opinion, which is completely different of yours. So this is, you made the point. This is exactly maybe the problem of my book about Sheikh Zayed, is that everybody has a view, a point of view on Sheikh Zayed, and it will never be the same than the one I described.
Thank you. When I read the book, if I take it away, all the character away, but what you read about Sheikh Zayed's soul, I think you reach that 100%. Sheikh Zayed, how we think about the desert, Sheikh Zayed, how we think about his people, and Sheikh Zayed, how we think about the environment, Sheikh Zayed, how he think about another people as the Palestine and another country, his feeling when he go to the, what I like it, it's catch my heart when he go to Somalian and he saw the young children playing basketball, I don't know, volleyball, I think, and he tried to play with them. And I like also when you said when he think about his country, he went to the desert and he eat lunch with the 3 Bedouin and they share with them. It's the share with them. I like what you write about Sheikh Zayed when he talk with himself, like you know Sheikh Zayed exactly. Like Sheikh Zayed, you live with him in environment, in the desert, when he's traveling. And also I like when you said he's in the hospital in Cleveland, and he eat his lunch with all the nurses and the doctors. This is Sheikh Zayed. Sheikh Zayed, he's, as my friend they told, Sheikh Zayed with the people and surround the people. Always when you go to the street, we see Sheikh Zayed. Always when you go anywhere, we saw Sheikh Zayed. And this one, I think you describe it. I think nobody can do it. Only Gilbert Sinway he can do it, because we know your history. We know how you write.
I will sleep better tonight.
Really, I'm not saying like this just to say this. Normally in our book club, it's our literature. It's always I have the question with me. Never we discuss the question, because we are free to talk what we feel. This one a book, and it's a novel. I cannot. It's not the Bible book. This are novels. Somebody will like it, somebody not like it.
Exactly.
This one normal, and when you read a book, that's why you write 100 book. One people they agree with it, and the another they say yes or not. Only as what you reach to Sheikh Zayed exactly everything, even when he go to fire with his falcon, when his horse, when he talk with his horse, and he understand how he teach his son, how you be with. I think all this detail you make it beautiful, like somebody sewing. Everything you attach it, everything it's beautifully done. I think what I need in Europe, they know about us. They know we are not terrorists. And Sheikh Zayed, how we think about another people. Sheikh Zayed, how we think about all his people, not only Emirati people who live in this land, about the water, as Dr. Ali has said in the beginning, about everything. I think this one, I cannot, nobody, I think all of us, we agree about the feeling and the soul for Sheikh Zayed. You reach it. Maybe they didn't hear the voice, but it's the soul. You reach the soul for Sheikh Zayed. But for characters, I am agree also with my friend. It's because we are local Emirati. I like to see Emirati characters in the.
I understand.
Around Sheikh Zayed, Faris, yes, Faris, one of character, but
Faris is a symbol.
Yeah. Faris is a symbol, but that's why, yes, that's why Faris is. Yeah, you cannot make him Superman everywhere. He's jumping everywhere, and you see him. That's why it's only Faris he make confused for people. But as another things, I think it's the book, as Monica she said, and all the influence of the European people to know about us, and from your eye to talk about us, we appreciate it. It's and not anyone. It's Gilbert Sinway, and not anyone. For us, it's how we like you, and we like your right, and always we are. We like everything you do with what you write. I think you don't know that, but I need you to make sure this group always they follow what you write, and we know everything what you write. And
thank you.
The last one, The Silence of the God, it's amazing book. We read it and we discuss it. It's amazing. It's really a beautiful book. I think everybody they agree that book. It's nobody think only Gilbert Sinway he can think like the way how we describe the silent. I don't know in Arabic, in English, right? It's I think we have only a last question. فاتنة سؤال واحد دائما نحط الأخير وعشان نختم الجلسة طولنا.
I was waiting, but thank you, Asma. Good evening, everybody, for mentioning the silence of gods. It gave me nightmares, Mr. Sinway, for 3 months. I couldn't take it out of my head. I could not. And still, until now, unfortunately, questioning your point of view. Unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. I should have said this 2 hours ago, but Mr. Albert, you are a great... Of course. You are a great author and a great histoire, بالفرنسي maybe. You have taken us on Zayed's journey, starting of being a brother to Sheikh Shakhbout, then to become himself the Sheikh, then and to his brilliant idea of uniting the Emirates. You took us in this journey from this, okay, maybe from the beginning. In fact, you start with politics. starting with him, like Asma just said, starting finding water, building schools, university, clinics, hospitals, infrastructures, until the completion of the development of UAE. Your abilities to choose your tools, to let your book reach our hearts, especially with Zaid's poems, his love for falcons, love to his mother, to his own family, and to the people. We readers have completed a great journey with the writer and of the great leader, Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul. Now, the question, how long did it take of your time to dig into the documents in Abu Dhabi or from where you live to finish the novel? And the authors usually carry the heroes of their novels in their hearts and thoughts. For period of times varies of how much attached the author to them. Where is Sheikh Zayed now in you? And thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. How long it took me? Well, as I told you from the start, everything started 12 years ago when Asma invited me in Abu Dhabi for the first time. And starting from that moment, I was invited after that 2 or 3 times by the French embassy. And each time, everybody was talking to me about Sheikh Zayed. And finally, I said, my God, who is this man? Everybody's talking about him. He must be someone very important. And so it started 12 years ago. And well, I wrote other books during these 12 years, but it was always in my mind because, as I said, it was the only Arab leader, the only great Arab leader. I mean, it's a pity to say that, but when you look at our history, there are no great leaders. No, he's the only one. So for 12 years, he was talking to me in my mind. Now, for the research, I must salute Dr. Ali ibn Tamim, because probably without his help, I would have never accessed to the archive and to all the books and to the CD and to the speeches of Sheikh Zayed. They helped me so much to hear his voice, to listen to his speeches. I have something like 15 CD that Dr. Ali gave to me, so I could try to enter in his mind. And honestly, I came to Abu Dhabi many times, and I went to the desert, I went to Al Ain, I went to see Zaki Nusaybi. I tried to meet as much people who knew him. And well, I must say that Dr. Ali, I know he hates that I say that because he's modest, but without his help, I would have never made this book. So it's being in Abu Dhabi, especially, and at the British Library in London, where I found lots of letters, documents, of course, British documents. And well, between the British Library, Abu Dhabi, and the National Library in France, this is how I gathered all the information.
Thank you, Dr. Jalbia. There is one question from Geneva. Samira, تفضلي Samira. Sorry, she wants to speak in French, she said.
With pleasure.
Samira, تفضلي. سميرة انقطعت، تفضلي.
السلام على الجميع. اوكي.
يا مرحبا. يا مرحبا يا مرحبا سميرة.
يا مرحبا. شكرا اخت اسماء على الدعوة وشكرا لجنوي. بونجور.
يا شكرا.
كاين مشكلة في الصوت؟
سميرة لو ساكنين جهاز واحد.
أحسن؟
Tu coupes, c'est sur les deux en même temps. Vas-y.
Allô.
السلام عليكم.
تفضلي تفضلي.
Okay.
Hello. Anybody home?
تفضلي سميرة. because she's from Geneva, and I give her a chance. Samira?
She's gone.
Salam alaikum, c'est OK?
نعم, OK.
OK. Bonjour, Monsieur Sinoué. J'ai eu beaucoup de plaisir de lire votre livre. Moi, je ne suis pas émirati. Je n'ai jamais vécu aux Émirats. Mais le Cheikh Zayed, je viens du Maroc. Le Cheikh Zayed, c'était un oncle pour nous. D'ailleurs, le jour de son décès, le royaume a décrété une journée de deuil national. Vous m'entendez?
Oui.
OK. J'ai eu beaucoup de plaisir de lire votre livre. J'en ai pleuré par passage. Il y a eu beaucoup de citations qui m'ont vraiment touchée. Une de ces citations propres à Cheikh Zayed, que Dieu ait son âme, le fanatisme et l'intolérance sont les deux plaies de l'humanité.
Absolument. Absolument.
Ma question est la suivante. Vous qui avez écrit un livre sur un Cheikh Zayed, imaginez qu'il soit vivant aujourd'hui et qu'il assiste à ce triste spectacle donné par les plus puissants de ce monde. Trump, Bolsonaro, Poutine et d'autres, pour ne pas les citer, qui incarnent la résurgence du rejet de l'autre, de l'égoïsme, du narcissisme et surtout cette incapacité à être visionnaire comme lui. Que pensez-vous que serait sa réflexion, son action et surtout sa citation? Merci beaucoup. شكرا للجميع وليلة سعيدة.
Well, the question that have been asked is quite a difficult question. Madam is asking me what Sheikh Zayed would have thought nowadays, looking at our world, about what's going on in the world now. What would have been his impression? Look, writing about Sheikh Zayed and trying to be himself was extremely difficult. So answer this question is extremely difficult too. Well, I suppose he would have been extremely shocked by the fanatics, by the Islamist movement, by the killers we had in France 2 days ago, a madman who came and killed 2 young people who were smoking a cigarette in front of the building. I suppose he would have never accepted what is going on now. And I can imagine that he would have been miserable. And I think he would have tried his best to calm and to appease the situation. But I'm convinced that for him, what is going on, he would have never accepted it.
جزيل تفضلي يا اخت جزيل سامحيني انا ما شفت سؤالك تفضلي.
Actually, I wanted to read the book in French because I had read excerpts from the book on the internet, and I was fascinated by the poetry and the lyricism in your style and in your language. And I really, I'm really fascinated by the fact that you decided to embody the personality of Sheikh Zayed, but you answered, it was very courageous, but you answered my question by saying that you wanted to relay the man and not the statesman before you wanted to show the personality of the man before showing the personality of the statesman. But my question is about a technicality, and this is the difficulty about being able to acquire the book in the original language, which is French. And, it is available on Kindle in the original edition, but it is not possible to download it in this part of the world, considering that the book is related to this part of the world, especially the United Arab Emirates. Does the writer have any say in this technicality, or it is just a technical question?
You mean you cannot read it in Kindle in your country?
No, not in the UAE. And I have an account with Amazon Prime, and usually they make it easier to be able to download such books. But specifically, it was saying that you can download this book in your part of the world.
It's very surprising. I have to contact my publisher and ask him what's the reason and if he can change it. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
And it is not found in any of the libraries here. It is, you have to apply for it and get it online. I mean, you have to apply, and probably you will get it within 2, 3, 4 days through Amazon.
You can order it from Amazon.
Yes.
You
can.
But you cannot download,
copy,
but not Kindle. But not on Kindle.
On Kindle, it is not allowed.
Well, I have to check.
That's a technical question.
I don't know, you know, I'm just the author, but probably the publisher will give me an answer tomorrow. Maybe there are international laws. I really don't know why. I will check. I will check.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Asma. Sorry, it was just a technical.
لا بالعكس، يا مرحبا يا مرحبا، بالعكس انتم اهل البيت، يعني المكان، يعني سميناه بيت احنا هذا الزوم، لانه يجمعنا العالم من كل اقطار العالم. الحين نجتمع مع بعض على كتاب الاستاذ جيلبرت سينوي، صديق واخ الملتقى، احنا نسميه دائما، احنا ناخذ الحقوق الصداقه يعني. سؤال اخير بس من ناديه، بما انها هي عرفت على الكاتب لها الحق انها تسال سؤال. تفضل يا ناديه. سوري جيلبرت، وات كويستشن.
مساء الخير مجددا. I'll ask my question in English, Mr. Sino. It's not a question, it's just a small comment. I consider myself one of the lucky ones who lived in Abu Dhabi during the reign of Sheikh Zayed, and to have witnessed not just his achievements, but also to have lived and feel his human touches. I want to admit that you are a very courageous person to write about such a great personality. It's like swimming in quicksands. You surely appreciate that Sheikh Zayed is probably the one and only leader around the world whose humanity was felt by everyone who knew him or heard about him. And that's what I think, this is the real challenge. It remains here, the real challenge. And I think that readers needed to read more about more detailed aspects of Sheikh Zayed, more than what you have written. That's what I felt from the comments of my friends. And thank you again for the book.
It will be the second novel.
إن شاء الله إن شاء الله. هنادي، تفضلي يا هنادي.
Thank you, Asma. Monsieur Gilbert, thank you so much for this novel. As a matter of fact, I want to say one thing. Thank you for reviving Sheikh Zayed and keep him alive in the mind of humanity. Thank you for letting him talk to us, and thank you for letting us experience with him his journey, his life, the way he thought, the way he walked, and the places he visited. It was such an amazing journey because we saw him from behind the screen, and we saw him in the street driving his car, waving with his hand to people. He was an amazing, humble leader, and we all appreciate his presence. And now with this novel, I assure you that he will continue to be alive, and you reincarnated in the memory of all the population. So big admiration, and thank you for being with us in Al-Multaqa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm very touched by what you said. Well, that was my aim, actually, trying to, you know, a writer is nothing but a bridge between something that you cannot describe and the reader. So that was really my aim, trying to make him revive through this novel. And as you said in one of your comments that I discovered on the net, when you write a novel, you have a certain liberty, freedom that you don't have as an historian. And that's what I like, freedom of writing. And of course, well, as we said, you cannot please everybody, and whatever you write, you cannot please everybody. people like a perfume and don't like another one, and a flower and not this flower. And the books, it's the same thing. You write something, and well, you hope that a majority of people will like it, but it's a challenge. Whatever you do, it's a challenge. And anyway, you were right. That's what my aim exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think the last دكتور علي. مشكور دكتور علي على تشريفك وحضورك معنا. دكتور علي، يا مرحبا دكتور. مشكور دكتور على هالفرصة اللي أعطيتنا إياها. مشكور على تحت الفرصة أن يكون ترجع العلاقة البريدج بيننا وبين جيلبرت سينويه، نشوفه ويكون مثل ما شفناه قبل 12 سنة من مونيكا اللي عرفتنا، لها الفضل اللي عرفتنا أول مرة على الأستاذ جيلبرت سينويه، والمحطة الأخيرة مع الأستاذ علي اللي جمعنا بالجيلبرت سينويه في هاللقاء الجميل حول شخصية ما زالت حية في قلوبنا وما زالت حية في قلوب كل إماراتي وكل أحد عاش في أو عرف الشيخ زايد الله يرحمه ويغفر له، طيب الله ثراه، أن على الأقل جيلبرت حاول أن العالم الآخر إعادة إحياء ذاكرة العالم الآخر. الشيخ زايد شكرا جزيلا، وأتمنى أن ما ثقلنا عليكم، وأتمنى أن كنا على نتقبل جيلبرت النقد والرواية دائما لما تكون عند القارئ هو حر أنه ينقد أو أنه يحب الرواية أو ما يحب الرواية. تفضل أستاذ دكتور علي، تفضل الله يخليك.
والله شكر جزيل لك، يعني أنت التي جعلت هذا اللقاء ممكنا، وجيد أنك ذكرتي أننا نحن في صدد رواية، فهي ليست سيرة ذاتية، أن السيرة الذاتية هي التي يكتبها المؤلف لنفسه وعن نفسه، وهي ليست أيضا سيرة غيرية، لأن السيرة الغيرية هي المدبجة بالتحليل والبحث العلمي وما شابه ذلك، فهي رواية إذن يدخلها جزء من الخيال ويدخلها جزء من التاريخ. أعجبني وصفك أو قولك لجيلبرت أن جيلبرت يعني كان ينسج عمله السردي، وأعجبني وصف فاتنة حينما قالت كان جيلبرت يحفر عميقا، ونادية حينما قالت إن الكتابة عن جيلبرت عن الشيخ زايد هو في الواقع السباحة في بحر متحرك. وكما قالت هنادي إنك شكرا لك أن يا جيلبرت أنك جعلت هذه الشخصية حية يعني مرة أخرى على الأقل في النص الروائي. وإذا جاز لي أن أصف هذه الشخصية في الأخير يعني كما وردت في الرواية أو بطل هذه الرواية، فإنني يمكن أن أشير بأن السارد في هذه الرواية كان في الواقع يمسك بهذه الشخصية وبخيوط السرد، وهذه الشخصية أو هذا السارد يكسر الرواية ويرحل بالشخصية عبر الأزمنة، ومن خلال طرائق السرد التي نرى مثلا كما أشرت الاسترجاع سواء كان داخلي أو كان استرجاع خارجي، التجريد والترميز في شخصية مثل شخصية فارس، وفي استبدال أو إعطاء بعض الشخصيات أقنعة مثل زكي حينما يتحول إلى أنشيبة وغير ذلك. لكن يمكن أن يشار أن الروائي قد أحسن في الواقع تلبيس شخصياته بما يعرف يعني في النقد الروائي بمصطلح السمة، أي أنه استطاع أن يعطي لكل شخصية قيمة أخلاقية لكي يصبغها بسلوك محدد، وهذا يمكن متابعته في السيرة أو في الرواية بشكل عام. جهز شخصياته بهذه القيم أو بهذه السمات بحيث جعلها يعني أكثر أداء ووظيفة في النص السردي. رأينا مثلا سمة الوفاء والبر التي نتعرف من خلال علاقة الشيخ زايد رحمه الله بأمه الشيخة سلامة، ثم نتعرف حواره مع الراحل أيضا الشيخ شخبوط، كيف يكشف الشيخ زايد عن سمات قيم الأخوة والإيمان بأن الأخوة هذه رباط مقدس وثيق، وكذلك الإخلاص للحاكم. إذن تبلورت الشخصية المركزية في بيئة كما تابعتها في هذا العمل السردي تنتمي إلى أبو ظبي، لهذا نمت الشخصية وتفتحت عبقريتها في سياق خليجي ثم سياق عربي ثم سياق عالمي. وكيف استطاعت هذه الشخصية أن تبلور تحدياتها في عالم مليء بالتفاؤل، وكيف استطاع أن يجيب عن أنها كما تسمى حكيم العرب، استغنى عن هذا الوصف وأعطاها حوارات مليئة بالحكمة، حتى أن المختارات التي وصلتنا في النهاية مختارات حكيمة تعبر عن دقة الاختيار. عجبني أيضا حينما تابع هذه الشخصية في سياق بحثها عن الماء في بداية النص، ثم كيف من الماء استغل قصيدته الشهيرة وهي قصيدة بينونة، لأن هذه القصيدة هي قصيدة الانتشاء بالمطر وبالفرح الذي يخلفه المطر. إذا نحن يعني كنا على علاقة مهمة جدا مع سينوي الذي الفكر الجزيل، وعلى هذا النص الذي أعتقد أن ربما تقوم الأستاذة أسماء مستقبلا بالمقارنة في ندوة تقارن بين النص الروائي في لغته الفرنسية وبين النص الروائي وارتحاله للغة العربية، والآن إن شاء الله للألمانية والإنجليزية. شكرا جزيلا على دعوتكم الكريمة.
مشكور، الله يطول بعمرك، ما قصرت. The last things Mr. Gilbert for الملتقى.
Well, I want to thank you very, very much, Asma, for this opportunity. I'm so proud and glad to meet these readers. And well, you're doing a great job because you are a bridge too between us and the readers. So thank you very much, and thanks to Dr. Ali for his help too. And I hope we see each other as soon as possible when this bloody virus will disappear.
Inshallah, we see you in Abu Dhabi. Inshallah, we discuss the book as Dr. Ali has said, between French version and Arabic version, inshallah, and we see how is. I think that translators, for me, it's a little bit. They need to look at it again. I think. I'm sorry for the translator. Maybe he will upset, but I think, inshallah, we will see. Thank you very much. مشكورة طويلة العمر الشيخة شمة على حضورك معنا. سامحيني طال عمرك ما شفت اسمك غير الحين، ومرحبا فيك دائما بنت الشيخ الدكتورة الشيخة شمة على حضورك وتواصلك الدائم بصالون الملتقى، اللي هو دائما نرتقي بحضورك وتشريفك لنا، واللي يعطي دعم للثقافة الإماراتية والثقافة العربية كلها. مشكورة يا طال عمرك على حضورك الجميل، وشكرا دكتور علي على سعة صدرك معنا اليوم. ومستر جلبر بالعربي حياك الله وأهلا وسهلا، وشرفتنا ونورت أبو ظبي من خلال العالم الافتراضي. وإن شاء الله الله يحفظك من الكورونا في فرنسا، وتكون دائما بصحة وعافية، ونطمن عليك إن شاء الله. وأهلا وسهلا فيك دائما وأبدا في قلوب قراءك كلهم. مشكور وطال عمرك وما قصرت، وأهلا وسهلا فيك.
إن شاء الله. Thank you very much.
شكرا للجميع، شكرا لحضوركم، وشكرا لكل من عبر وقرأ وصبر معنا هالمسافة كلها، نرحل في رحلة الصحراء وفي عين الصقر مع المغفور له طيب الله ثراه الشيخ زايد الحي في قلوب الإماراتيين ما زال، ويعيش دائما في قلوبنا وذاكرتنا مثل ما هو عايش في قلب وعقل جلبر سنوي. يا مرحبا وحياكم الله، أهلا وسهلا فيكم.
باي باي.
شكرا أسماء، شكرا على هاللقاء الجميل، شكرا على الكتاب الأجمل، وشكرا للجميع.
حياكم الله، دائما انتم منورين، ما قصروا.
أسماء انضاف إلك لقب جديد، الجسر. الجسر ذا بريدج، هلا كتبت لك اياه على الشات. أسماء الجسر. أمنا أسماء بدينا وبعدين كملنا، وفي حدا قال لك لقب مش حنحكيه هون. وشكرا فعلا أمسية جميلة. ماريا بوسة.
مساء الخير. شكرا
أليكس. ثانك يو أليكس. إن شاء الله أليكس. ثانك يو أليكس. ثانك يو فور
أليكس. الخير.
لوشيا كمان. إيه.
Thank you, Asma.
Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you, Asma.
Thank you, Maria. I don't realize. I said, who's this lady? Beautiful lady.
Really? Lucia?
Lucia, I don't realize her. Now I realize her.
Yeah, she was very present. We love you, Asma. Thank you for this very strong connection between the West and the East. You are amazing. Thank you. We miss you. I cannot hug you. I just can with my finger hug you slightly like that. Miniature now. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you على كل شيء. Thank you. مع السلامة. الله يحفظك.
باي أسماء. شكرا. باي باي صبايا.
يلا باي صبايا. باي.
باي.
يلا باي باي.
باي باي.
باي صبايا. شكرا أسماء. يلا. يا ربي. يعرف كل شيء عن التصور. لازم حد يجي يعرف كل شيء بس. وصل ونرجع نبدل ونرجع. نرجع نسلوى قريبين ماشي نطلعوا قلت لها ما نطلعش على الكورونا خوتي. أنا جيت مش نطلع. نعرف أنا أقولها. باش نطلب نشوف شنو البروجرام. قلنا خلينا نجيب حداك نلعبوا كارتا أحسن من تليفوني. تليفوناتك الأولى.
كان ما تبتعش باش تلبس حوايجك دوك في حاجة مستناك واش تقعد تلاقي في الخاصة؟
سير؟
سير.
ليه؟ خمس حبيبي. أحسن. وينك؟ وي تسمع فيا؟ شو قررت؟ ايوه.
لا كاس. شنو أحوالك وخير؟ طبعا صوتك فيه شوية. إن شاء الله يا ربي يرحمك. الحمد لله. الحمد لله. الحمد لله. الحمد لله. سي فاتيغون. الحمد لله عليك بنتي.
ضحت على شكون؟ عليك انت على هو؟
الحمد لله عليك. بوسطي حمادي.
شبيك؟
الحمد لله عليك. عايشك بوسطك ما نطولش معاك خاف عليك. هكا عايشك شارك يا
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. باهي اسمعني نجي ونشوف شنو ولا نقعد نلعبوا كاتا نعملوا حاجة.